we are going to watch the next trailer for Bats, Bloodsucker Anti-Terror Squad by Darryl Reid. Get ready to check it out.
Greetings, fools! It is I, Scorpion Supreme, leader of Sting. Today, I unveil my latest plan for global domination. Brace yourselves for Bats, the game. I have captured the entire Bats team and locked them up in my desert fortress. Do you think you can save them out of pain? Yeah, right. I'd like to see you try. There's deadly traps, ruthless enemies, and most importantly, me! What? That's not supposed to happen! Guards, execute the game developers immediately! Where was I? Oh yes! I command you to buy Bats the game, or I will have your feet removed and make you walk on stumps, and everyone will laugh at you! This is Scorpion Supreme, signing off! Here's Steve! Someone bring the assaulter!
Oh my God. Listen, I wish I had a bowl of cereal right now because I feel like that I'm sitting in front of my old television and it's cartoon time. Like, definitely. Saturday morning cartoon vibe all over that. Incredible. Love the whole meta thing where he's like, buy the game now, and if you don't, I'm going to cut off your feet.
He broke the fourth wall too, saying execute the game developers.
Execute the game developers. That's great. Which is a great segue because we have the game developer on in just a few seconds. I'm going to be introducing Darryl Reid. Darryl, thank you so much for coming on and being with us. I'm glad you're here.
Thank you.
Because I was afraid you might not make it since he wanted to execute you. So good showing up. So Darryl, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? What got you into the gaming realm? What inspired you to make Bats specifically? Because it's incredible. I love it.
Well, Bats specifically, this was actually a game for hire. So it was made. The idea was came up by a group called One Eyed Robot. They had the idea of making a television show, which was based on an 80s cartoon, and they wanted to produce a game to go with the television show. And the premise behind the game was to make it look like a Nintendo or a Super Nintendo era game.
So
sort of like, to sort of match up with the 80s 90s theme of the cartoon. So that's where the idea for this particular game came from. About myself, how I got into game development is through Flash games. Making Flash games for a number of years, as well as some HTML5 games, some mobile apps, and then transitioned into making console games now.
So have you always been a gamer yourself? Is this something that have you always wanted to develop games?
Yeah. I suppose I sort of grew up in a generation where, everyone had a Sega Master System or a Nintendo, then later Super Nintendo, Mega Drive, PlayStation. So I was always sort of like, had a sort of interest in, I wish I could develop my own game sort of thing. And then later on, I just sort of accidentally stumbled across Flash, and from there, took it from there basically, because it was obviously a platform where you could easily sort of teach yourself how to program. I had an art background already, so I could create art assets at that time myself. So it was sort of like Flash was very well geared to like a single person developer, just creating your own games. And then obviously there was a whole industry built around it where you could sell licenses to these games and actually like make quite like a decent amount of money, to be fair. But then obviously that sort of faded off. And then as that faded off, I transitioned into console games, making games for PC and console.
I think that's incredible because, like, when you said it's like sort of easy, you just teach yourself how to program. I can't do it. So kudos to you for being able to pull that off, because I don't think I could develop a game by myself. But let's go ahead and pull up this game because it's absolutely incredible. Like you said, they wanted to give it that 90s, 80s theme. And I swear to God, I definitely own that TV that's in the trailer. Like I definitely have that TV and I definitely watched cartoons on it and played my Super Nintendo on it and all of that stuff. So you nailed it. Like Bats is definitely one of those games I feel like I could have like couch co-opted with my little brother, and it's incredible. One of the questions I wanted to ask is, I know you're working with a team to produce these games called Ritual Games. What's it like working with that team and working on all these different titles?
Well, Ritual Games really, it's myself and one other guy. He usually handles the art exclusively now, whereas I handle exclusively the programming. And then in terms of the game design and everything else, we work together as a team to sort of hash things out. And yeah, man, we've been working together for years now, so we're sort of we make a good team.
Like
I think we're sort of like yeah. We're sort of like we used to each other's flow and how we work. So yeah, nice. It's good.
And you guys are based out of the UK, right?
At the moment, I'm in Spain, but originally, yeah, we were we're based in. Well, he's based in London. We were originally based in London, so yeah, from the UK.
So being here in the US, and like I realize that like I've been talking with other content creators and things like that. How is it working in the UK? How is it working as like a Black game developer in the UK? Are they more open? Because here I feel like it takes a lot more work to be seen. How is it there? Like, do you feel like you get the support you need?
Well, to be honest, the whole time sort of I've been working, creating games, it's sort of been in isolation in terms of, you know, as a solo developer or working in small teams of one or two people. Especially in the Flash industry, it was like you'd create the game and then you'd sell the license. And a lot of the people you're dealing with, you don't meet them. So, like, it's all sort of, you're dealt with online. So in terms of the question of sort of like race or ethnicity, doesn't sort of really come into it in that sense, because like nobody knows who you are, right? Like or where you're from. It's sort of like it's I've sort of been, I suppose in some sense you'd sort of say it's isolated in the UK, or at least the way we was working. So we weren't sort of really until recently sort of in like a sort of like meeting up with people in the game development scene, or sort of had the opportunity to sort of like network is what I'm looking to say. Yeah. So sort of like we were sort of like a lot more isolated and just one or two man teams working together, and that's it. And then like when we did deal with people, it was mainly like exclusively online.
Got it. So how does it feel being a part of the Black Voices in Game community? Because coming from someone who usually worked by themselves or just worked with another team member, now you're on the showcase, you're talking to other people are seeing your game. How does it feel to be a part of this?
To be honest, yeah, no, it's been great, especially like shout out to Justin. It's like it's a great help to get the insight and ideas of other people with experience, other experienced game developers, and just other people's ideas in general. Sort of like also as well opening up sort of access to like funding and other opportunities that you definitely wouldn't get if you just sort of like isolated and by yourself creating games. So it has been like a great experience.
I love that you bring that up, because that is something that's so important, and what they're trying to do as a nonprofit is give game developers a way to succeed and create these games and give them opportunities that otherwise they probably wouldn't have had. So I love that you brought that up. But now that we have the game running, which is incredible, I love like a good, like, I'm not saying this is a button smasher, but that's probably how I would play it. It's just going through and like totally annihilating everything. Tell me a little bit more about the mechanics as you're playing the game. Well, as Red is playing the game, because she's the pro here. So
we wanted to sort of design it. Obviously, it was a throwback to old school Nintendo and Super Nintendo games. So on one hand, obviously, we wanted to keep everything sort of basic. We didn't want things to be too too many buttons and too many different mechanics. But like at the same time, we wanted to keep things fast paced. So like yeah, as you see, it's like a relatively fast paced game, like that sort of pushes the player to keep going forward and keep moving. We wanted to add like a comedy element to it as well, to sort of like that's the whole vibe of the 80s show that it's supposed to be based on, sort of like crazy, cartoonish, outlandish enemies doing like you see, they'll run into their own traps and get killed by their own traps and stuff like that.
A lot of slapstick humor. Yeah, also I love it.
Yeah, slapstick humor. Like we had a lot of inspiration from like Capcom arcade games. So like there's one, or the elevator action, I think it was called, where there was a lot of verticality. So we wanted to sort of like really incorporate that. Hotline Miami and Katana Zero as well were inspirations for this game, where obviously we wanted to keep things, like I was saying, fast-paced, one-hit kills, like lots of blood, and yeah.
I love it.
It reminds me of like Metal Slug 2, like but with a beat 'em up situation with it. Metal Slug is one of my favorites.
Yeah.
This is the type of game that I could play and not worried about like having to memorize like like when you're playing a lot of fighting games and you have to memorize certain things, because I'm the type of person yeah, if I find one move that can kick your butt, I will constantly use that.
Oh, you're the cheeser. Okay.
I am that person, because I don't have any more room in my brain to be remembering a bunch of different like like combinations. But this looks so fun and I love it. It also gives me, and you didn't mention this game, but it also gives me a very Mega Man feel when I look at the game and the gameplay. Like, I definitely see Mega Man in it. And especially this guy that he's fighting at the end. Like, you guys did such a good job. And especially being a 2-man team, this looks really, really good.
Oh, I gotta get up. So I love the back.
Yeah, no, like the bosses were definitely inspired by like Mega Man and Sonic the Hedgehog style enemies.
Yeah,
I see.
Oh my god. Well, Darryl, if people want to find out more about you, if they want to find out more about the game, where can they find you?
On Twitter at _ritual_games.
Awesome. And do you have a Discord or anything like that where people can talk to you, or just Twitter?
I've got a Discord. I have no idea what they're using.
Not your personal Discord. I don't want any like crazy people messaging you.
No. There isn't. I know of a Discord for this game. No.
Okay.
I've got my personal Discord.
Want you to put that out there. Yeah, you're like, I don't know if I want to do. I would not ask you to do that. Absolutely not.
But I wish I would love. Yeah, I was gonna say I would love like a multiplayer aspect, because the Bats crew is interesting. Like, brother over here looked like Blade. Was it like inspiration from like vampire movies as well that y'all wanted to integrate in there?
Yeah, so I think like all the whole idea is like they're a anti-terrorist squad made of vampires, right? So you've got the main guy is supposed to be based on Count Dracula, then you've got like Blade, like Nosferatu, and then you've got the two other characters. I'm not entirely sure who they were based on, but that the whole idea is the group are a bunch of vampires.
Was it like the A team for vampires, the B team?
Basically, yeah. Basically, yeah. The A team for vampires.
I love it.
I'm trying to beat him up. I'm trying to beat him up.
You can do it. You're so close. You can.
Is any like crazy boss fights in here? Oh, I did it!
Oh my god. You can tell when a game's really good and everybody gets quiet and they get closer to the screen, even if they're not playing it. You know what I mean? But Darryl, this was incredible. Thank you so much for coming on, spending some time with us, and oh my god, there's Blade.
I had to unlock him.
No, I'm so glad you did. I mean, this is Black Voices in Gaming, so let's get some color in there. So I love that you unlocked Blade. But thank you so much, Joe, for coming on and talking to us and showing us your game. It's incredible. I'm still blown away that it's a 2-person team who's created this. And can you tell us, do you have anything else in the works?
Yeah, at the moment we're working on an unannounced title. I'll say, yeah.
Okay. All right, cool. Well, you ain't got to tell us.
We almost got you. Guys, we almost got you.
He almost dropped some information for us. But everybody, thank you so much, Darryl. Thank you so much for coming on. Remember, go follow him on Twitter. Go get the game on Steam if you can't afford it. Like it, wishlist it. It always helps developers. Steam is always looking at that algorithm. Red, was there anything else you wanted to say before we move on?
Oh, thank you so much for creating an awesome game. I will be streaming this, especially since it is like a Spooktember theme going on. So I definitely am going to stream this. I love it and can't wait to see your future projects.